Hey Meg, what's happening?
I had a great day. What about you?
Uh, it was a really good day. Okay, so I told you some stories already, but I'll tell you a new one. So, um, the mom of this family that I've been taking care of, right? She orders HelloFresh meals, right? Now,
I
HelloFresh,
remember this from Lauren.
yeah, so it's huge online, right? And it's supposed to be like easy peasy, like meal prep, like you don't have time, but you want to eat like good, delicious food, right?
Healthy-ish, usually.
Relatively healthy, yeah. And I remember during our first conversation together, I told her, I'm like, yeah, I consider myself to be a pretty good cook. I'm happy to like cook for your kids and whatever, right? And her eyes like lit up, right? And I don't really think I knew what I was getting myself into. Because my meals, like, right? I either throw stuff in the oven or I grill, like to grill. And then like, it'll be like, big hearty meals, meat, rice, potatoes, maybe pasta if I'm eating with somebody else, right? And these are like way more intricate than that. Like there's like
15 stepper.
The one that I was doing was 8 steps, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but like we're making sauces. We're like the first step is to like one step, by the way, is to like cut, rinse, and like rinse, cut, and then like saute all the vegetables.
That's
so
3
already
steps.
I'm like that because my meals are one step: meat, grill,
micro.
That's it. So, anyways, and these kids have a lot of friends, which is awesome.
Okay.
So I'm like trying to do this trying to like
get them
pick
home.
them up and drop them off, and they're all over town. They're just out, right? Like having their like fun kid summer.
This is allowed to just.
It's more than allowed. It's encouraged. They're like, go hang out with your friends. Like, yeah. So.
Okay.
And it's really, really nice. But okay. So anyway, basically, I'm like laughing at myself today because I'm panicking trying to make a HelloFresh meal. Because it was like a timing thing. Like I'm like, oh shit, it says it's gonna take an hour. I'm gonna have to pause in the middle, come back and finish it. And I did. So like actually wasn't that big of a deal, but in my mind in that moment I'm like, I cannot fuck this up. Because like I left it in the oven when I left too. So I'm like, okay, and now the house is gonna be burnt down and they're never gonna talk to me again.
Why would you leave it in the oven?
People do that all the time. If you have to like just... My mom did it all the time.
Okay.
Which is who I'm trying to get back to.
Okay.
When I was in middle school, right? Or, before I could drive, let's just say, but mainly in like middle school, early high school, that's when I started to hang out with people and like make friends of my own, and I wanted to spend time with them. And my dad worked, that. My mom was home with us mostly, so she was the person bringing us to and fro from everywhere. That included like practice, and that also included friends. And I remember like she would say things to me sometimes like, oh, I'm not your chauffeur, right? and you can hear my mom saying that, right? And like at the time I was pretty like, I don't know, that hurt like my little feelings. I didn't get what she was saying. I'm like, I'm your son, I have friends. You say having friends is a good thing, but then like when I ask you to take me places, it seems like you're mad at me and I don't understand why. It caused like some friction between us at the time. Again, I'm like young. So.
Right. But
now after today, right, like, she had 3 kids, a lot to worry about. She had to get food on the table, and like, I'm like, oh, like this is how you felt like every day for like 2 decades.
Literally
so
years,
I was like, now, like when I see her later today, I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna tell her this story and just be like, hey mom, I love you. Thank you for doing that. Like I understand why it could be stressful. Because you just want, because like it's stressful because you don't want the kid to panic. You're like, I told you I would be there at this time, so I got to be there at that time for you, right? You're expecting me, that kind of thing. And honestly, like, kids are more resilient than we give them credit for. Like, they'd be fine if you were 5 or 10 minutes late, right? Like, but it's not really the point, is it? Like, consistency over time right? Like, I want them to be able to depend on me, to rely on me, and to trust me. Like, how are they going to do that if... Like,
day 2.
yeah, if, like, well, if the things that I tell them don't happen, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that was a funny experience that, like, turned into a nice, like, learning moment and helped me, like, appreciate my mom more than I already do.
That's really nice.
So it was cool.
I kind of heard something similar today in a YouTube video about like showing up for yourself. Like, if you show up for yourself and do the things that you tell yourself you're gonna do, like, over time you grow to, like, trust yourself.
Yeah.
I think it was either Becca Watson or Lauren Snyder, one of them. I was watching their video, but I was like, that is so true, because, like, I personally have, like, so much trust in myself. I feel like if I say I'm gonna do something, like, I absolutely do it. And I feel like Jim is a great example. Like, I have not wavered in, like,
since you started,
basically 6 days or bust, like, a week. So yeah.
So I'd like to think that I'm the same way, and for most of my life I have been. You're talking about that, like, the coupling of consistency and time, right? In order to build belief in self. So there's definitely been times where I've, like, broken that, though. I wouldn't say that I've been, like, perfect in doing that. And a lot of times that's because I set this, like, huge goal.
Yeah.
And I didn't take the time to break it down into manageable steps. So I became overwhelmed and just stopped, right? Which I think is a reason why a lot of people do.
Yeah.
You know, but that was more when I was a younger person, and now as, like, an adult man, I, like, just set my eyes on.
It's very clear.
It is, yeah. I mean, there's, like, variance within the steps, but, like, the steps are the steps.
Yes, but you can easily Google how to become a PhD level psychologist in the state of Michigan.
APA website will come up, and it'll actually be like a stepwise formula.
It is,
you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the future, when we go into private practice together and we start our business, I mean, business in general is, like, there's a lot
more fluid
of variance there. Yeah, and I mean, we're gonna have to be responsive, and that's the other piece, actually. Adaptable. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I had a great day. I have something that I kind of want to explain, something great that happened.
I'd be happy to listen.
The scholarships that I received yesterday, I needed to figure out, how is this going to impact me moving forward?
Yeah.
So in the fall semester, I'm going to be taking 9 credit hours, which is a lot for me. I've only ever taken 6 at a time. The employee tuition waiver covers $5,250 of just straight up, like, a coupon, or like a check.
Okay.
After that, any amount can be added, as we both know, to your income as taxable income, which is how it blows up in your face, because that's the situation I'm in right now, where my paychecks are like $230 short every 2 weeks, $240. So it's been stressful.
How many weeks has that been going on for, and when will it end?
It's going to be, I think, 7 pay periods. So
Jesus.
It's brutal. It's literally, I mean, like,
I remember the first time this happened.
Yeah. Quite literally, like, $1,700-ish.
Okay, and that's but that $1,700 wasn't the difference between the employee tuition waiver and the price of the class. Though that was just
27%. Like,
that was just taxable.
That's just the tax amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what was the difference then? Between the ETW and what was remaining that now needs to be covered by the scholarships.
Okay, well, that's what I'm getting to. So the ETW covers 6 hours per semester. But again, after the $5,250, that's the amount that can be taxed. But the idea is you can use it even if it's taxed 6 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours. Winter, summer, fall. So in the fall, I'm going to be at 9 hours, not 6. So basically that was the whole dilemma, is I'm going to have this out-of-pocket class. Well, Mark actually...
It's the position I was in, by the way. Yeah.
So Mark actually helped me out a ton. And he, like, ran the numbers with me. First of all, the alumni discount is going up from 15% to 20%. So you've
been receiving, like, countless blessings lately.
I know.
That's remarkable.
I want to write, like, these... I mean, we're,
over
like,
the past,
documenting this.
But over the past, like, 3 days, though.
It's insane.
Like...
That's, like, a... I know.
I don't know if you've had, like, 3 better days.
I know. So additional 5% off, just off the top. No, not owed. 5% just off.
I like how you said coupon earlier.
It is 5% coupon. Yeah. Okay, Target red card 5% discount right there. And then, in addition to that, I can use the $4,000
of scholarships
straight off the top. So, like, of all of it. So,
including taxes?
Including the tax. So, what's going to happen is there's 9 total hours. Tuition at our institution for the fall semester, because they usually change tuition fall, because that's, like, the start of the academic year.
Yeah.
$1,000 per credit hour.
At the graduate level?
At the graduate level.
Okay.
So $1,000 minus 20% is $800. So this is going to cover the $4,000. 4,000 divided by $800 will cover 5 credits.
Wait, say that one more time.
$4,000 of my checks, $2,000 checks, divided by $800, which is the alumni rate per credit hour. So 4,000 divided by 800 is 5. So 5 credit hours are just going to be covered for me. So I'll have 4 hours left. So I'm not maxing it out to the full 6. I'm only using 4.
From the ETW?
Yes.
Yeah.
So therefore, like, plus the discount, like, I'm only going to be $800 alumni discount rate times 4 hours is $3,200 times it's about like 26-27%, and she gets to divide that one over 8 pay periods because she gets that information sooner for summer. The summer semester is just shorter in general, so that's kind of why too. But over 8 pay periods, so per pay I'm only going to be losing $108 compared to like $240.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. So literally just like...
You're not going to feel that as much.
No.
It's a lot. It's not great, but it's significantly better. So we should just celebrate that. Yeah. And
then in the in the winter semester, I've decided, and again, like we talked about yesterday, like I do actually like really want your opinion on this. But like I feel like what's best for me is to only take 2 classes in the fall, still graduate and walk in May. Those 2 classes will be completely covered by the $5,250, because it'll be $800 times 6, so $4,800, correct?
800 times what?
6, yeah. So $4,800.
You were the math major, not me. Remember, I'm psych. 800 times
6 hours.
Yep, 4,800.
So $4,800, and then I'll still have some money to spare to apply towards summer. So I'm going to take 1 class over the summer. So technically, it's not really...
Okay, well, that's a change.
It's not really what we wanted. We wanted to be done in May. But I feel like that's going to set me up to, like, look for jobs whilst, like, that summer. Okay. While we're still figuring things out. The class should, in theory, only be an 8-week course. Now, granted, they might want me... I don't know. Just based on what I've seen with them, for instance, I had a coworker, Janice. Her son is in our undergraduate program. She moved to a different position, like, midway through the semester, but they were just like, it's fine. Like, about, like, they didn't, like, make her make up the difference of, like, the employee tuition waiver of what... Like, he was already far enough along in the class that it was just like, okay. So, like, I'm saying, like, if I have to be there until the end of July, like my birthday, August, like the very beginning of August, that is so worth it to me financially. Like, I just need to think.
Okay, so you probably have, but have you calculated the difference in how much it would cost for you to take, it's either 3 semesters, 2-2-1, or
It's
2 semesters,
3-2-1.
3-2-1, instead of 3 and 3?
Yeah.
What would the difference in price be across 3 semesters versus 3-3? Instead of 3-2-1, what about just 3-3?
I would have to pay completely an out-of-pocket course.
One
for the winter, which would be...
So somehow spreading it out, how does spreading it out like that change the total price?
Because you can only take 6 hours per semester, and the balance you owe. Which is why these scholarships were a huge windfall, because I would have been in that situation for
next
fall.
semester. Are you going to be in the same situation where it's like $108 for like 7 or 8 pay periods?
Well, right now I'm still in the thick of the 230.
Mm-hmm.
The fall will be 108. The winter will be 0 because it'll fall within the 5250,
cool.
And then the summer will be like $100 again.
So how much are you saving by doing the 3-2-1?
I think like, I don't want to overestimate, but I think like between 2,000, like
whoa,
2,000, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so we had, in the past, it's interesting. So it went from you wanting to do something similar to what you've just described long ago. And then you're like, no, I think I want to just be done by the time that we walk together, right? And now it seems like we're going back to what was plan A to begin with all along. And I think after having listened to you explain it, that like this plan A is actually better because of how much money you're going to be saving.
Thank you.
And we're still going to walk together. Yeah. So nothing changes there. And then you have 1 8-week course that's going to end about midway through the summer, and then everything's great, right?
Yes. All I'm saying, though, my only concern would be that they would want me to stay working-wise till the end of the semester, which I don't really think would affect us unless we were moving. But I'm saying if the class is already done and it's like 2 weeks before the end of the semester...
Yeah.
Like, that's how I would present it. I'd be like, are we really serious right now? Like, I've been here for, at that point, 2.5 years. It wouldn't be an issue.
I don't think it's going to be a problem, Megs.
So, and just
because, I don't know, if I end up going to UDM, we're going to stay.
Yeah.
Or Wayne, we're going to be here.
Mm-hmm. Even Eastern.
Even Eastern.
That's probably where the line is drawn, though.
Yeah, because we'd have to move if I went to Western.
Yeah. That'd be a sweet school, though. It really would be.
Yeah, it'd be really great.
But yeah. So
more to come about that.
Yeah.
More to come, yeah.
I just have a lot, like, I feel like my eyes were open today. I'm like, not to mention, just from a legitimate mental health standpoint, taking 2 and then 1, like, that is going to be so manageable. It's almost going to be a joke, like the 1 summer class. But actually, I don't think it's a joke, because my friend Abby took it, and she was like, oh, I'm so tired of this class. There's so much writing in this class. So I think it's, like, really paper heavy, but nothing I can't handle, you know.
What, wink, wink? No,
yeah.
Okay. And, yeah, I mean, when I was a student and employee at Madonna, working 40 hours a week, I had 4 classes both semesters, and I can tell you that it was definitely a lot, and it caused a lot of tension between my supervisors and I.
Yeah.
I don't want to rehash all of that now, but you know the reasons why.
I do, but additionally,
okay.
It hurts.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Your classes fall during the day, most of them.
Yeah, which was a big reason why it was an issue.
I have both.
I don't think you've had one like the entire time.
My senior sem or it's not called senior sum. My graduate capstone.
Graduate capstone. That's interesting. Not a thesis.
You can write, or sorry, yes, it is. The second half is like you write.
Even if okay.
Yeah, you have to
make sure about that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like a 40 or 50 page paper. Yeah, otherwise
40 or 50 pages. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think some schmucks do like 20. Maybe I'll do 20. Who knows how I'll be feeling in that point. But
I mean, Dr. Thiel described it to me as like a really beefy research paper.
It definitely is like that, yeah.
That same flavor.
Yeah. Well, because I'm also doing the research symposium, which is like, it's on.
Yeah. They asked me if they could hang my poster that won at outside of the psych clinic.
That's amazing.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
Did you throw it out?
So, no, they're gonna like print like something else. Like they're not gonna hang my old poster board. When we exchanged the Stallion, right, my old car, I don't know what happened to the poster board. It was in the back of the car. I got there one day, the same day that I got my new car, right, at the dealership, and it wasn't there. And I didn't ask questions. I didn't really care.
Okay.
But it's gone.
Okay, so they need to know you're on your own.
I told them, I'm like, no, I'll send you the PowerPoint, right? And like the settings on that PowerPoint are so that it would print like nicely. And then it's on you folks.
Yeah. Like
That's all
I want it. That's awesome.
It cost me $50.
I know it did.
Oh, so but
you won $50.
No. So I won $100.
Ah,
so I was so I was $50
in
the green. Then, right, I think second and third place both got
50.
Yeah,
because Abby was like, I was like, oh, dude, you won $50. She goes, it cost me $50. I was like, you're such a jerk. Why would you?
She's a jerk?
For saying that. Like, you're kind of a jerk. But
it would have been the first thing
funny.
I thought.
It was hilarious. Yeah. I just didn't know. I thought it was so funny.
You might remember this. Our posters were right next to each other.
Yes.
And she had a super interesting topic.
She did.
Yeah, it was, it had to do with eating disorders and something about eating disorders in female athletes.
Yes. Yeah. And she was trying to find if it's more prevalent in athletes or not, than not.
She found that there wasn't a difference, by the way.
I know.
Like, not a significant difference.
She was like bummed, but tried to act like she wasn't. She's like, oh, I don't care. And I'm like, you care. Like,
I mean, that's the thing about academic research, right? You can go in with a hypothesis and you think you know what the answer is going to be, but
you don't.
Like, there are, it can surprise you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The trends that we found in mine weren't terribly surprising. Like, they were reaffirming.
They were.
Which was wonderful.
Yeah.
Speaking of this, I had totally forgotten about this. Had we not brought up the research symposium in some capacity, I would have forgotten this. I don't know if this could turn into a thesis or not, right? But this is just a general observation, right? In some of my classes, I've had more than one professor say something along the lines of either when talking about their own families or families that they've worked with, your kids are these angels that love you, that want to be with you, that think you're the sweetest, kindest, smartest, person ever, right? And then it's, not as cool to hang out with mom and dad, right? Instead of seeking approval from within the family unit, right? It becomes about receiving that from your peer group, right? So instead of, status from within the family, it's status amongst
that's good
group, right? And then somewhere along the way, later in life, right, as the brain becomes more fully formed and you're exiting puberty, they sort of come back to you. That's the way it's described. It's a coming back process, and that sort of ABC kind of thing. It's it just made me totally reevaluate my own life. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself I had a truly blissful childhood. I was a kind young boy, right? And treated people very well.
Well liked.
And knew how to communicate with others, and I was like polite and respectful. All these things that my parents like raised me to be, right? And as a result, like people treated me like well also, right? Kind of makes sense. So, but then, you know, I got into like my middle school and like high school age years, and you know, I was kind of the opposite of all of those like nice things that I just described. Like I wasn't treating people the way that I should have, and I was really prone to like anger and just like very aggressive, and like, but I was also in the throes of like puberty, right? And now like here I am, right, 24 years old, and like just like generally speaking, like just as happy as can be all the time. Like I love to smile, love to laugh, right? And just like love you so dearly, love our families, love our friends, just want people to be happy. And like I'm going into a helping profession. I just want to like help people lead like happy and fulfilling lives. So it's sort of like that leapfrog. I'm like, could I have like just bypassed all this nastiness, or like was it necessary for me to go through in some way? Probably. But what I'm talking about here is that I identify more with like my younger self than my adolescent self.
Same.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And this was like a small epiphany for me today, where I was like, okay, sure, like there were other factors going on, right? But like, what is it truly like about puberty that can make you like lose yourself? And then like, what is it about exiting that makes you like find yourself
Hormones?
all over again? I think that, well, yeah, a lot of it is hormones. And like, so like psychology, like I feel like psychiatry focuses more on like the interaction of like hormones, different neurotransmitters, like the physiology behind
emotion,
why we think and feel the way that we do, right? Like what's going on in the brain, whereas psychology talks about what's going on more in the mind, right? So I would try to blend the two. I could talk about like all of the like physiological changes occurring at that time that would result in like a negative temperament, let's say, or like an adversarial one. And then I could also talk about from like even a sociological perspective, like everything that's going on at that time, like what happens to like a young person as they're developing a sense of self within a system, like the school system specifically.
Yeah. I'd argue a huge part of it's that, because it turns into this, if you don't fall in the group, then you're automatically scrambling, trying to figure out like, where do I belong? And some people find that immediately. Some people are like, I was never the cool kid.
Some people never find it though.
Yeah, yep. I'm the band kid. I'm gonna hang with the band kid. Like,
and sometimes you don't fit nicely in boxes though, and then you're on the fringe.
Yeah.
And the fringe is a very lonely, scary place to be. Yeah. Right? Because like you're not close with anyone, and you desperately want to be.
Yeah. Middle school and high school suck, to be honest with you. College, I feel like...
College was fantastic.
College was fantastic.
Grad school's even better.
Grad school rocks. Yeah. I feel awesome.
A lot of our friends that are out there in the workforce, too, they're just, like...
So happy.
They're happy, too. And, like... And here's another thing, though. Like, when you... Like, this... I'm far more forgiving of a lot of the, like, perceived ills of, like, the education system in the West. You know that I have, like, the utmost, like, respect for... the higher education in general.
Clearly,
right? It's what
It's
what we thus far have devoted our lives towards, and what I will continue to, most certainly, and that you will perhaps.
Yeah.
So, but I will make like certain concessions. For instance, like school teaches you what you're good at and what you're not. Okay. So, and from an early age, right? Like spelling groups. Right? They don't call them good, okay, and bad, right? There's blue and yellow and green, right? But everybody knew blue was the best.
Yeah.
Okay? And the same thing for math groups, the same thing for reading groups. Think about a reading group. Like, from a teacher's perspective, you're like, okay, you know, you're giving the kid that's a little further ahead a better book, right? But, like, you're also withholding that information from younger children. Or other children.
Yeah.
Not younger.
You're trying to meet them where you're at, but you're ultimately never pushing them.
Yeah, and, like, I don't know, I think that children should be pushed towards, like, physical excellence, but, like, critics of, like, the old, I don't even know if they do this anymore, but it was the, like, presidential, like, fitness test, right? Even that, it was a tier ranking system.
It was, yeah.
Okay, so you, and
Sports.
Band, right? First chair, second chair, you know more about that than I do, but, like, there's a ranking system within the overall group, and, like, some of that is necessary, but, like, again, if you're not at the top, though, that makes you feel really bad about yourself, right? And, like, there's this social hierarchy, right? Absolutely. People know there's, like, the good-looking, the, like, the smartest, right? Like, the most athletic. Like,
Missy.
And then, like, if you're not, I mean, this is, like, a huge overgeneralization, but, like, if you're not in that, like, upper echelon, like, where do you fit in? Somewhere in the middle, right? I don't know. I think that, like, that's kind of, like, the, that's where, like, the personality and, like, the relational factors could come in. So, like, this is, like, a huge, like, piece of, or, like, and, like, kind of scattered, but, like, loosely connected pieces of information that I presented to you, and I need to, like, funnel them down into, like, some sort of question that I can really ask, because that's how you design a study. Nonetheless, I think it could be interesting. Yeah. And it's just an idea. I'm not saying that I'm going to, like, run away with this, but I'm like, okay, there's something going on here.
Beginning, middle, end.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it tells a nice story. Ultimately, if you exit it in a good way, which I have, right? But, like, you know, maybe myself or someone else, right? Maybe you didn't. Maybe it's possible that you could have gone the other way. Yeah. Right? So...
All right, we gotta go to dinner.
Do we?
Yes.
Okay.
It's 6:14 and I'm
no shit.
hungry.
Okay. All right.